Chapter 6, Austin's Encounter. Austin walked out of Ariel's castle and onto the dark streets of the island kingdom. The people walking on the streets had looks of misery upon their faces. Austin ignored all the citizens staring at him, for he had to focus on his new quest. He didn't completely understand why the president's office wanted him to find the source when they couldn't even discover it for themselves, but he continued down the street to the port. He walked to where his private yacht was docked. He called out to Jerry, "I'm back! Start her up!" Jerry turned on the engines and prepared to depart from the eerie island. Austin hopped onto the main deck and walked to his office in the rear of the ship. He sat down. The boat rocked as it departed from the wobbly dock. He opened the drawer and pulled out news reports from the days before. He scanned the long articles until he discovered what he was searching for. Poison sweeps across Starbright City. Several Starbrights have disappeared in the past few days. President Gustav announced that he believes the source of these disappearances is a poison that has been spreading about the great Starbright City. He says that his scientists have taken samples of the air in the kingdom and of the air in Starbright City. They report that the air differs in many ways. Gustav has ordered a testing on what this substance does to our beloved Starbrights. Results have not been announced yet, but are soon to be. For further information, go to... Austin placed down the report. He sat back in his chair for a few minutes. He started to think about Alexis. He could not wait to marry her. He wanted all this poison stuff to blow over and for everything to go back to normal. He thought for very long about what Alexis said during the short dinner. "He's listening to everything we're saying. He has a power. I'm not supposed to say this," she had said. Then there was the bruise. Why was she trying to cover it up? Was she embarrassed about it? Did she really trip and fall against a pole? Or was it another person? Austin jumped out of his chair to the very thought of another person hurting Alexis. He promised her that he would take care of her, and if someone else hurting her was the case, he had failed the most important thing of all. He sat down and planted his face into the palms of his hands. He decided to follow everything the office of President Gustav commanded him to do from now on. He felt the boat dock at the port. The boat trip had lasted all night. He walked out the room. He wanted badly for this whole poison thing to end. He wanted to be with Alexis, holding her in his arms, her head resting on his shoulder. He jumped off the yacht onto the dock. He walked slowly out of the port gate. He walked down the streets, but something was different from the day before when he left to see Alexis. There were signs of panic. He walked around the streets trying to get someone to tell him what was wrong. He looked at the streets. They were filled with stardust. He thought to himself, "It must be star time," and became less stressed out. Then he walked further down the street. There was less and less stardust as he walked. When he turned the corner onto the route to Gustav's office, he didn't see stardust. It was a black liquid lying in a big puddle in the middle of the street. It seemed to be spreading outward. As it spread, Starbrights were being vaporized. The stardust flew everywhere. When it landed on the ground, it moved toward the black spot. When the stardust got within inches of the spot, it was sucked into the middle. White flashes started coming out of the center of the spot. By now, Austin was the only one left on the streets. The Starbrights had fled. Some of them, though, were vaporized before they could get away. "This isn't star time," he said to himself. He looked further down the street. He saw mounds of today's news report. He ran over to them and grabbed one. News report. June 20th. Poison spreads. At 4:56 a.m., a huge ball of lightning soared from the Starbright clock tower to the center of Alexis's kingdom. The lightning left a hole in the middle of the street. Some early morning Starbrights who were on the street were never seen afterwards. Of the 10 human witnesses who were there at the strike, 7 went missing, and the other three cannot recall the moment the bolt struck, for their memory went blank for many hours. Also, another bolt was sent to Darnish City. The same conditions are in effect at that city. For more information, go to sss.starshineislands.we. Austin threw down the news report. Starbright Clock Tower. He ran down the road toward the bridge out of the kingdom. There was nobody on the streets. All the doors to the buildings were closed and so were the windows. He continued down the street. He could see the gate to the bridge up ahead. He ran to the gate. It was locked. "Let me through," he shouted. A short man walked up to the gate. "Can I help you?" the man asked. "Yeah, let me through. Hurry," Austin said. "Hurry, I'm Austin Oxley, and I need to get through to Starbright City." "All right, Mr. Oxley," the man said. He unlocked the gate and opened it slowly. Austin ran through the gate. He ran across the bridge. He could see the top of the Starbright Clock Tower. He arrived at the gate. This gate was not being guarded, and it was not locked. Austin opened the gate. There was a loud noise followed by hundreds of screams. Austin closed the gate and looked into the streets. There were thousands of panicking, horrified people in Starbrights. They started to run toward him. He jumped to the side, dodging all the frightened citizens. All of the people had run through the gate to the bridge, and now the streets were empty. Austin started to jog to the street where the Starbright Clock Tower stood. He turned the corner and the beautiful monument stood before him. He looked at the clock. It was now 1:30. There was another loud noise coming from the top of the clock tower. Austin examined the clock and the buildings that supported it. Nothing seemed to be wrong with it. Then a loud rumble shook the whole street. The top of the left building exploded. Austin ran to the entrance of the tower. There were many guards surrounding the door. "Excuse me, I need to get through," Austin said to the guards. "I'm afraid I can't let you into the tower. It has been closed to all civilians," the guard replied. "You don't understand. I'm Austin Oxley, and I was told to inspect this building." "I don't care who you are. I was told to guard this building. There is already an inspector here. We don't need your help. Please step away from the door." Austin stepped back. There was a loud noise behind the tower. "What was that noise?" Austin shouted. "Nothing. Don't worry, we have everything under control," the guard said. "Is there a port in this city?" he asked the guards. "Yes, it's off of Main Street," the guard replied. Austin ran toward Main Street. He ran down the road. He could see the gate ahead of him. The ticket booth was empty, and so was the entire port. He looked into the ticket booth. There was a phone sitting on the desk. He went through the door into the booth. He picked up the phone and dialed the phone number of his yacht. Jerry picked up the phone on the yacht. "Hello?" "Jerry, I need you to come over to the dock in Starbright City. It's an emergency." "Will do, Austin." Jerry hung up and started the engines. Austin hung up the phone and walked out of the ticket stand.